The Chicago Bulls, they are 8-20. And I know they've won 5 in a row, basically because Mirotic can't miss from 3. But I'm not going to talk too much about where they're going to go this season, because I don't think they're really going to go anywhere this season. But what I really want to talk about with the Bulls is what's going on, you know? Do they have a young team to be excited about? Are the players on the team players who they can invest in long term, become actual pieces for them, and that whole type of shtick? Well, I guess we can just start with Chris Dunn, because, I don't know, I felt like starting with him. The big thing with Dunn is he's actually making threes this season. Threes as well as like long 2-pointers are going in, which if anything means that shows that he's got some offensive potential to him. He has been beating guys a bit more off the bounce this season, which is good. I mean, he's only shooting about 2 free throws a game, so I wouldn't say he has like the Dennis Smith potential, because I think Dennis Smith in his prime is going to be able to get to the free throw line quite a bit. I don't know if Chris Dunn's ever going to be able to do that, which means it's going to be harder for him to generate some offense, but if he just becomes some lights-out shooter, that could be something, but he's also only shooting about 2 threes a game, so I wouldn't go too nuts over Chris Dunn's overall offensive game. As far as his playmaking is concerned, it's weird. I feel like he's really profiting off of having bigs who can shoot, like Bobby Portis, Markkanen. Even if his percentage is a little down, teams do respect him from out there. Denzel Valentine, well, he's not as much of a big, but between Markkanen, Bobby Portis, and then Mirotic for the last 5 games, I think any point guard is going to look okay with that much shooting on their front line. So, I think the 5 assists, while it still should be given credit, I'm not freaking out about Chris Dunn is the best way to put it. 3 turnovers a game are also not beautiful either. All of this at the age of 23 years old, by the way. So, what do I ultimately think of Chris Dunn? I think he can grow into being good, I guess, with a lot of better point guard options out there. But, I mean, if there's an opportunity to get like a star point guard, whether it be in the draft or whatever, I think they should jump on the opportunity, is what I'm getting at. Now if we can get to Lauri Markkanen, the threes are not going in as much as they did to open up the season, where he was just completely lights out. But I have to assume he's going to be fine. He's shooting 84% from the free throw line, and he was lights out from 3 in college, so I don't see a reason as to why he's not going to be a big-time shooter in the NBA, combined with his rebounding, the ball handling abilities that he does have, and the constant spacing he'll provide. I think Markkanen's going to be cool. I think he's definitely not like Porzingis. I don't think he's going to be that much of a matchup nightmare. But I do think he could be like a 17 to potentially 21 to 22 point scorer in the NBA. I mean, I've already said it before. He's going to get 16 points a game just by existing, so Markkanen should be good. Now, what the interesting thing with Mirotic is that he's actually making his threes, because for a while, he just hasn't been able to knock down 3-point shots. I mean, his second season, he shot 39%, and then since then, he hasn't. But this season, Mirotic is actually knocking him down. Is that going to maintain itself? I mean, I don't have a lot of reason to believe it would, just because, I mean, he's had 2 seasons in the league where he shot below average from 3. He's had 1 season where he shot above average. What am I supposed to make of all that, Now, what's been a little interesting is that it seems like Mirotic has done a little bit more off the bounce this season. He's had some pull-up jumpers. He's had times where he'll take a guy off the dribble and then he'll put his back to him and then shoot a turnaround jumper. That's an interesting part of it. I don't know if I can just see all that and go, all right, Mirotic is going to be a 16-plus point scorer and all that, but those are intriguing nonetheless. Now, Mirotic has a $12 million team option. If I was Chicago, I would probably accept that because, I mean, why not? It's not like you're going to leave your salary open for some big-time players. You're the Chicago Bulls here, And plus, I mean, Robin Lopez's contract is up after next season anyway, so you'll get a lot of that money back. So, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with accepting Mirotić's option. Now, at the same time, if you get a trade offer that's intriguing enough, then maybe you go for it, but, you know, I'd be willing to hold on to Mirotić and see what he has for at least one more season after this one. And then there's Bobby Portis, who, if he can keep doing his thing as a shooter, shooting 39% from outside, then, I mean, you take that, and then you got a 6'11 guy who can move pretty well on top of the shooting. That'd be nice. Basically, what I'm getting at with this Bulls roster is I think there are some guys who can grow into role players, and in the sense of Chris Dunn could maybe be an average NBA starter, and Markkanen who can put some points up, but I don't think he can be your best player or potentially even your second best player if you're talking about wanting to be a championship contender one day. But you have some guys here nonetheless. Now, of course, to get those stars, they're going to have to hit some home runs in the draft. And luckily for the Bulls, they have all of their first-round picks moving forward, so it's just Tank City, man. That's the name of the game for them right now. And if I can project a little bit about some of the players that are going to be coming in next season, how they would fit on this Bulls team, well, if they got Marvin Bagley, that could be interesting, because if you have Marvin Bagley and Lauri Markkanen next to each other, assuming that Markkanen is your future starting power forward, then that's a lot of offensive versatility, you know, because Bagley, it seems like he can do some work in the low post, but it seems like he can also do some work off the dribble from the perimeter. So you could have a spaced floor a lot of the time. That could be something. If he can develop his three-point shot, then that could be nice, although I wouldn't put as much of a priority on that for him because it seems like he's just really skilled around the basket. DeAndre Ayton could be the rebounder next to Lauri Markkanen that you really need, because I don't know if Markkanen's ever going to be that big on the boards, but everybody says that DeAndre Ayton will be a difference maker as a rebounder. So then you have Ayton, who he's probably more around the basket a lot of the times anyway. Combined with Markkanen doing his work from outside, that could definitely be a quality thing. If you have a chance at Michael Porter, then, I mean, who's your small forward now? Denzel Valentine, I mean, that's fine. He gets pushed down to the second unit, and you're okay with that one. What would be interesting with Michael Porter is if he does have the ability to play power forward. I know he's hurt right now, but we're assuming he's going to be good to go and he'll still be drafted high. If he could play power forward in the NBA, and if Lauri Markkanen, or potentially Nikola Mirotić, I guess, can play the center position, I think I would give more of a chance for Markkanen to do that because, one, he's legit 7 feet and he's younger, so he has more time to get stronger. Then you could have a lineup with Markkanen at center and Michael Porter at power forward. You're talking about, that could be a ridiculous shooting lineup. You could have, I don't know what you do. You go Chris Dunn. I don't really know who your two guard would be, but then Denzel Valentine, Michael Porter, Lauri Markkanen. My goodness, that would be an insane lineup in terms of spacing. I mean, Levine could be your two guard. That could be something. Or, if Luka Doncic is on your team, I mean, maybe that creates some complications with Zach LaVine just because they both play the same position. Based on what LaVine's done at this point in his career and what I've heard about Luka Doncic would probably be the better player. But it's not like you can't make that work, Now, there has been the experiment of LaVine at point guard, which did not really work for Minnesota. I don't think he's meant to be a point guard. I think he's meant to be a scorer. That could cause some complications, but, I mean, in today's league where guys are constantly playing the position they don't naturally play, I don't think it would be like the worst thing in the world. Plus, you could make the argument that LaVine is meant to play like a sixth man kind of a role because he definitely likes to shoot the ball, and you could make the argument that the other things that he does, defense and playmaking and all that, he has some more work to do. Or there's a possibility that Doncic is a point guard, because I've seen some listings actually have him as a point. He's definitely a playmaker. So I think ultimately a Luka Doncic, Zach LaVine pairing could be pretty exciting. I don't think they would get in each other's way. I feel like they can both do enough to where it could be some good stuff. And I think these are the questions the Bulls need to be asking themselves, because, again, while the roster itself has some players that I'm intrigued by, I don't think there's a real star player here. I mean, I think Markkanen can be an offensive star, but an all-around star, no. And that's where the draft comes in, so hopefully they can do that. As for some potential trade pieces on this team, maybe Robin Lopez, good defensive center who is just a professional who doesn't really mess up that often. His contract is a little on the expensive side, but it's also up after next season, so I think another team could be willing to take him on, but I don't really know what you would get for him. I can't picture you getting a first-round pick for Robin Lopez, Now, Cristiano Felicio, that contract may be coming back to bite them, because he's making $32 million total until 2021, and it seems like he's kind of getting lost in the rotation here, because you got Markkanen, you got Mirotic, you got Bobby Portis. So that contract may not have been good for them overall. I don't know. There's not a lot of real trade pieces on this team, just because a lot of them are so young. I mean, they don't have a single 30-year-old on the roster. Quincy Pondexter's 29, so yeah, I think enjoy the excitement while it's here, Bulls fans, in terms of this current streak and all that. And I mean, pay attention to the team while they're playing, because you can learn things about the players. But I would say, for this thing to really get going towards winning, we're going to have to wait until the draft.